Thank you so much for choosing CDKL5, or the International Foundation for CDKL5 Research. My daughter, Katie, which she's the one right here in the little red dress. This is my daughter, Katie. She is 9 years old. When she was born, I noticed early on in the hospital that she was staring at me, and I thought that was interesting. I'm like, wow, she's already staring at me, but I know that the neurological system is not always fully developed, right, the first couple days that the children are born. So I didn't think that much about it, but then at 5 weeks, she was staring at me and her face was turning red, and then I started getting scared. So went to the doctor, and they ended up doing an EEG and found out that she was having a seizure. So whenever she was staring at me, she was actually having a seizure. So as early on as the first couple of days of life, Katie had seizures. We were able to put her on anti-seizure medications, and we attributed her lack of development to the anti-seizure medication that she was on. It wasn't until she was 2 years old before we finally got a diagnosis for Katie. We got her seizures under control within the first year, fortunately. But at 2 years, the neurologist said, we're gonna do a test, and I don't think she has this, but I'm running out of options to figure out what, a diagnosis, because she wasn't hitting any of her milestones. And the neurologist called me back and she said, I am shocked, but she has CDKL5. She said, you can Google it, and that's as much information as I have about it. So when Katie was diagnosed, there were less than 200 kids worldwide to have CDKL5, which is cyclin-dependent kinase-like 5. It was so rare that it was just named after the gene that's mutated. These kids, the majority of them are female, and they have multiple seizures per day and are on multiple medications. Fortunately, our daughter, Katie, we did something off-label and did ACTH injections, and we were able to control her seizures, and she's not necessarily on any anti-seizure medications now, and she is pretty much seizure-free. She'll have little jerks, but not full-blown seizures like some of these kids are having, where they have to get rushed to the emergency department. So she is in like that rare 2% that doesn't have seizures, so we're very fortunate about that. However, along with the seizures comes the lack of development. So these children, most of them can't walk or talk or feed themselves. They're fully dependent. Some of them, however, are, the way their gene is mutated and affected, are able to get a few words out, and some of them are able to walk with assistance. So it varies. But like I said, when Katie was diagnosed, there were less than 200 kids. So 8 years later, almost 8 years later, there are now 1,000 kids worldwide that have CDKL5. And I think it's more so that the neurologists know what to look for. But see, these are some of the faces of kids with CDKL5. There's my daughter over there with another little girl. You can see the varying degrees in way that it affects the children. I don't know how to get it to. But what the International Foundation for CDKL5 Research does, and I'm not really following these, so we can skip this and maybe just get to the cute picture. You have the pictures. But, whoops, now I went way too far. So what the International Foundation for CDKL5 research does is they do research to find a cure for CDKL5, but they're also doing research to deal with the things that affect these children on a daily basis and how they affect the parents and family members too. So if we can come up with do research studies to find ways that are helping children with their walking, what physical therapies, what occupational therapies work better with these children to help them have better quality of life, and for the families as well. So it's not just finding a cure for CDKL5, but it's also improving the quality of life for those that are living with it and their families. So that's pretty much it. There's a lot that goes into having a child with CDKL5. There's a lot of sleepless nights. Their sleep patterns are not always consistent. It's like having a newborn, you don't necessarily know what's wrong with them, so you're trying multiple things. My daughter was up at midnight last night. There's many nights where she'll just have an all-night party, and she's happy in there. Some nights she's not happy in there, but she will stay up all night long and then sleep maybe the whole next day. She does go to school, and I'm fortunate for that. I'm fortunate for all the therapies. She does physical therapy, she rides horses. The Cincinnati Therapeutic Riding and Horsemanship does a fantastic job with special needs kids and helping them with her core strength. It wasn't until she was 4 years old before she could sit by herself on the floor. Imagine it's like holding an infant all the way up until that point. Now, you know, she still can't walk, but she can sit by herself. You can put a fork in front of her and she'll feed herself. And like I said, there's varying degrees, but with the research, you know, we're finding ways to help train the brain to get these kids to do a little bit more. And so that's what this money goes to, and I really appreciate all that you guys do for these local charities. So thank you.